This is the Prophetic Archive, Metamorphosis, Part 15. Thank you, God. Thank you. I posted in the chat a moment ago. Thank you, Father. Why? Because you have given us the opportunity to do things for you. And it is a privilege. It is an honor. It is a compliment. It is a recognition to me for giving me the opportunity to serve everyone. The greatest privilege you can have from God is to be a father, a pastor, a servant, either in your work, at your university, to do something for your neighbor. It is a compliment from the Father. When we serve, we are exalting His name. That's why I stand before you to say, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity that you have given us to be able to serve you. It is a compliment. It is a privilege. How many people aren't sleeping right now eternally, and they're unable to do what you have today as a privilege? How many are there underestimating being a son of God, serving their parents, and not valuing the opportunity? How many can serve their children, but yet you underestimate serving them? How many can serve their husband? How many can serve their ministry? If we all understood that when we serve our neighbor, then God allows you to serve him. If I don't serve you that I can see, I won't be able to serve the Father that I cannot see. That is why praise and worship is not a moment where we stop to sing, holy, holy, hallelujah, Jesus is Lord. Should I just leave it there or should I continue singing for your amusement? I felt that when I sang, you felt something great. Admit it. I do have a calling to be a worshiper. Now, back to business and listen to this. What a privilege. How many of you came already worshipped? How many? Worshipped. Do you know what that means? That when you serve, you have already worshipped him. We don't come here to worship God. No, we come from worshiping God. Nobody comes here to worship God. Oh, Mom, let's go to church to worship God. No, that's a trickster kind of mentality. You come worshipped already. What you come to do and what you are doing right now is connecting. You come to confront yourself. You come so that I can tell you, let's see if this chapter in your life goes well, and we'll go to the next one. And how am I going to face that? That's what you're here for. I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to learn what I haven't discovered yet. By the way, anyone who doesn't know something, God has mercy on them. But if you know, it is a misfortune and a disgrace for you. Do you understand? When I know, I have a disgrace chasing me. But when I didn't know, I had the mercy of God. Of course, you can say, well, Pastor, if that's the case, then I'm not coming on Sunday. Well, if you don't come on Sunday or if you don't connect, still, fine, you're under mercy, but guess what? There is a deception robbing you of it, robbing you of the richness that you have inside of you. Let's go right to the text on Matthew 10 and James chapter 3. And we're going to separate those two texts and we're going to work on them on this topic. Metamorphosis. This topic is a topic that what's interesting is that when we talk about the prophetic themes of the house and we have to enter into them, we have to identify those things that we are experiencing because we have to also contextualize with what is happening. Everything we connect to within the prophetic is not a simple teaching. Remember, the life manual comes to guide our lives. Many of us didn't have any kind of direction. Many thought that life was only to work, to study, and for enjoyment. There are people who came to think that what you enjoy in life and what you do, that's what you take with you when you die. How many of you thought that way? Thank you very much. You know that while you were looking for more time to enjoy this life, you were just trying to have less pain. And you would say, oh, well, so what? Same old, same old. Life is all the same struggle at the end of the day. That's all life is about, struggle. Who was it that said that? Thank you very much. I have news for you. Life is neither about enjoying nor about struggling. Both were lies. Because life itself has a purpose. When we know God, we don't simply know Him for Him to save us. It's not just that. That is part of it. Religion told us that we accepted Christ to be saved. And people still go to church to be saved because they don't want to go to hell. People would go to church out of fear. People will go to church out of an interest of not wanting to get lost. Yet, everyone would go out drinking, smoking, enjoying, ruining their lives, going into adultery. But in their subconscious, they would say, well, but I'm going to church. You know, Pastor, I'm robbing, I'm stealing, but I'm going to go there on Sunday to be cool with the men upstairs. Really? That's not what you're here for. It's not to be saved. The word says that for you to be saved, you just have to believe. So it's nothing out of this world to be saved. The show wasn't that big. Now, to believe, you have to know. But more than just salvation, you have to know that life is under a purpose. God made a purpose with men in Eden. Satan distorted the purpose. Now, did God know that Satan was going to distort the purpose? Yes or no? What do you think? Yes. God knew that Satan was going to interfere with man's life purpose. Yes, God knew it. But there's something interesting, and I want you to keep that in your mind. You know why? What I'm going to tell you now for the first time in your life, you are going to start respecting yourself more. God knew that the devil was going to interfere in men's life, yes. But there's something that the devil didn't know. Finally, Sister Angela, Sister Priscilla, Sister Mary are going to respect themselves more. Father, thank you for this time because you are allowing them to connect this day because they need to hear that the devil did not know that the one he was going to eternally condemn was himself. Why? Because he interfered with man's purpose. Write it down. When Lucifer was created, he was not created to be condemned, nor to be destroyed. Therefore, God did not destroy Lucifer because he couldn't destroy him, because he didn't make him for destruction. God could not condemn him. He could not make him disappear either, because death did not yet exist. So he could not be destroyed because he was not made for that. But Lucifer fell into a worse trap because since he was under much envy and he saw how God placed men in a garden with authority, with many powers, that Lucifer interfere in the life of that man, he didn't understand that he fell under the rules of the world. God set rules on everybody. He said to the serpent, you will walk dragged. He said to the other one, you're going to be the Lord over the enemy. You're going to work with the sweat of your forehead. And he gave everyone a rule. Even the devil, he gave a rule. He told him that even if he hurt the woman, let's say the ministry, say the life of man himself, although it could hurt the man in the heel, the woman was going to hurt it in the head. When we talk about the head, we're talking about destruction, that they were going to exterminate. Hello? Are you understanding something interesting? You were formed to hear this today. The devil came and he got in and everyone said, wow, the devil got in and he deceived man in the garden and everyone, and sin enslaved us. And wow, it sounds very like, wow. It even makes me feel sorry because sin has all of us and had you struggling. But there's something interesting. I want you to know, listen to me. God knew that you were going to struggle. Now, God also knew that the devil was going to be subdued. Now, Satan, for pretending to be fresh and cool, because he was envious of the privilege that God gave you, got into the world and he didn't know that he himself was going to fall under submission, just like man. Now, the devil and I, who? The devil and I. Who? The devil and I, yes. The devil and you and me are both under rules. Hello? So they put some rules on Satan, but they also put some rules on us. This is not by chance, no. The devil got some rules, and we did too. Many times we would say, oh, the devil, that is defeated. The devil is defeated. And we will repeat it. The devil is defeated, and you're a loser, and blah, 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 blah. But we would say it like, oh, the devil is a loser, but really without much left in the tank. Because technically, they told us to say that. They told us to repeat that. And yet, we would maybe have some results, of course. Now, today, that should no longer be a term of strategy for us to go to war. It has to be more of an understanding where you and I know that we are fighting against someone that is truly defeated. Truly. So what does that do to you and me? It makes us have a different attitude than any other human being. So, my attitude is that I know that I am fighting with someone who is defeated. But he is defeated not because I defeated him. He is defeated because Christ defeated him. And I am on the side of Christ. My security does not consist in what I do or what I believe, but in who I depend, in whom I depend. The one I depended on, the cross of Calvary, already defeated Satan. The one I believed in, that is my security. The difference between you and another human being is who are you depending on? Who you depend on, that is the difference. After all, we're all sitting here, but I do not know really who you truly depend upon. Many were filled with pride because they went to, ministry so-and-so, and the ministry of pastor so-and-so, and the ministry of pastor Zambuca. Great thing. So what? You can be of any ministry that you want. None of that assures you that everything will be fine. The important thing is who you are depending on, and that is something very, very personal. That is why knowledge is what will lead you to understand how to manage your life. To manage your life in a way that will lead you to have a totally prosperous life. That's why your satisfaction is what Christ wants you to achieve. Today, you still do not subject yourself to live in a satisfied life because you still continue doing things as you please. Do you understand? And how do I know? Because that animal that operates in you is still predominating. You know why you don't achieve things? Because you are an animal. Why? You know why? Because the word of the Lord gives the same results to everyone. The word does not contradict itself, nor does it fail. Who is it failing? Me, Pastor? Not me, Pastor. I'm doing well. Really? But you contradict yourself. Who? Me, Pastor? Yes, you. You contradict yourself. Because if you still don't have results, who are you, damn it? Because if the life manual doesn't give you results, you're just a big devil. Let me introduce you to the devil next to you. Nice to meet you. I'm Erickson. Oh, nice to meet you, Erickson. What kind of devil are you that you don't get the manual? Let me tell you something. On Friday, I began talking to a small group of young people. Yes, there is a small group that they do whatever they want. But in 2 weeks of working with these young people, the results I've seen, I'm like, wow, it's so impressive. And of course, you can say, yeah, well, that's easy because, young people don't have any issues. They don't pay for electricity or water or phone. They don't have any problems. And it's easy. But let me tell you something. In 2 weeks, I saw that the most introverted one, the most quiet one was opening up. It was talking, seeking help, like nothing. And you're like, wow, in 2 weeks, I was seeing all these results. And every day more and more, I was thanking the Holy Spirit for allowing me to understand how to manage his wealth. Because if we had started working with young people from the very beginning, those young people with knowledge, guess what? Would have then be confronting their parents. So, you know what would have happened? That instead of Me as a pastor correcting you, your children would have been correcting you. That's not right, Mom. That's very carnal. Look, you don't have the control, Mom. Blah, 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 blah. And you know what would have happened? That you would lose control, because the maturity to bear a child correcting you, you need a lot of authority for that. So you would have killed your son or your daughter. How many are understanding me? You would have said, boy, look, you stop correcting me. What are you saying? Shut your mouth. And that monster in you would have killed your kid. That is why I held back so many years before taking on the youth, the young people of this ministry, and training them. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. It is time for you to let others see what is up for you, your true colors, to see you naked, and for you to get heat from every single point. Because the truth is that everything that is hidden in you will be revealed. Hello? You had a good time for dialogue, for confrontation, for training. You have been trained. But the fact that you do not want to assume, and you still taking a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and then you let it go, well, guess what? Congratulations. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Nothing will remain hidden in you. Everything will be exposed and it will be out. Everything that you did not handle with time, everything that you did not know how to connect to in the same prophetic flow in which things were being handled and you didn't value that, that same thing will repeat itself for you. But now it's going to come to confront you in a way that is not going to be asking for permission to come in. So I'm saying this to say, bear with your children when they are discovering many marks in you and many shame. You know what I recommend? Sit down, embrace each other, and acknowledge. That is the most I can tell you. And with that, I'm helping you. So, Satan, like me, is subjected to rules, under rules. And that is important for you to know. Why? Because you have appealed so much to the life of Christ, in the sense that you have accepted Christ. And since Christ, quote unquote, resolves everything for you, then you know what you did? You will enter into a party. That's why churches became a party from 7 to 10 on Tuesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. Everything centered around being a party, because everything is joy and enjoyment and rejoice and praising God, because God already took care of everything. No matter what I do, it doesn't matter that I don't know. I am going to rejoice. Wow. There's nothing cooler than Pentecostal churches, because there's joy and joy and joy and joy and more joy. And people ask, hey, what were you up to in church? Oh, sis, enjoying. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Joy and joy and joy. Joy has nothing to do with joy. Joy is not dancing, nor enjoyment, nor partying. Joy, which is a fruit, manifests itself in the midst of violence and difficulty. Write it down. People want joy with eroticism. Oh, that's how I like it, Pastor. That's how I like it. Because if not, I don't like it. Do you think you like this? You don't like this. Do you think you like being confronted? Nobody likes that. And neither do I. Oh, I like it that I like it, Pastor. How is it that you want it? That I like it. That's why women are full of illusions, because women seek what they like. Oh, I like this and I like that. Let me tell you, for you to experience the joy of the Spirit, it's going to be where you don't like it. Many times it's not going to be necessary, but many times it's like that. Do you know why? Because you, by managing your life however you want it, took it to such an extreme that now you're going to have to learn to enjoy the joy of God in what you don't like and what I don't like. You have learned to know God in what you don't like. That's why Paul said, I've learned to live having as if not having. Do you realize that no matter the situation you're living in, none has to move you from learning to depend and rejoice in God? Metamorphosis means change. It means transformation. Metamorphosis means that you are going to go through a transformation. In this case, from the evil within you to the good of God. From the marks of the devil that you possess to the prophetic destiny that God desires. Write it down. Matthew 10:26 through 33 says, "So do not fear them, for there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, nor concealed that will not be known. What I say to you in the darkness, speak it in the light. And what you hear in the ear, proclaim it from the housetops. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. But rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell." When we find ourselves undergoing a metamorphosis, a change, which many know occurs, do you know why? Do you know why a metamorphosis occurs in you, a change in life, like a change in your being and your spirit that seems almost diabolical? What does correspond to you? Just to assume principles. I don't know where you have to assume principles, but in any area of your life, there is a principle. In your family, in what I have to assume. Yes, there are principles. Now, you don't have to assume everything from your family. You don't have to assume everything that they want to impose on you. You don't have to. How many of you don't want to impose things on me? Hey, Pastor, I want you to please come and hold my hand. Heck no. But please, Pastor, I want you to pray over me. No. You wanting me to do that, it's a lie from you and the devil. You trickster. What you come here to do is to be informed and trained. And yes, you are given lots of love and affection, but I don't want you to be depending on me or resting on me. No, you have to stop your nonsense. You have to assume what you're being taught here. When you assume, what happens? When you assume principles, what happens? Tell me what happens. Okay, you decide to assume principles. Are you going to get flowers? Are you going to get people applauding you? Are you going to get people admiring you? Are they going to call you and invite you and everybody's going to want you? What do you think? Yes or no? No. Listen, I spent 3 years retired from everything that had to do with the ecclesiastical world. I went to work with my family, with my little. I went to work in a much broader environment because I had to build this platform that you're seeing now to be able to reestablish what I am ministering to you today. But it wasn't just me, my family, my home. I also had to dedicate and invest time in forming the team that is also working here with me. That team grew, and look where the team is going. Now we're forming, we're organizing everything, we're preparing, we're training. Has it been easy? Not at all. Have people thrown flowers and applaud you? Has your family said, wow, it's been so good that you have changed? No. How many of you have gotten phrases like, look at you now. You seem very proud and kind of conceited. Thank you. That's very kind of you. How many of you have gotten phrases like, you seem to be like a little pretentious, don't you think? Yes. Some people have gotten so far to even say stuff like that. Wow, sister, seems like the devil doesn't bother you anymore, huh? Let me tell you, people are not going to applaud you, but they will see the fruits, even though they don't acknowledge them, because they don't know how that looks like or what does it mean. They can say, well, she's better, she's nicer, she's cooler, but they don't know that that is called fruit. They will know this when their life goes to hit rock bottom and they're struggling and they're in disgrace. And then they would say, oh, can you please call Sister Cynthia or Sister Laura? Can you please tell her to come over here? The same one they were saying that now it's pretentious and a little bit proud. Because you know what? The Lord will tell them, I always spoke to you. And they would say, yeah, but when, Lord? Don't you remember that sister, the one with the tight pants and that glam? That was it. That was me. and you close the door in my face. Jesus confronts the disciples. Jesus confronts the people and tells them that there is nothing that will stay hidden. When you assume the principles, what happens is that what is operating in you begins to manifest itself. Then, when the metamorphosis, which has to do with me assuming, which is something that was not part of my daily life, now we don't have to come here to impress a church. No one comes here to impress me and for me to see you. Whether you come or not, it doesn't worry me. I don't worry if you come or not or if you connect. I've always told you that my responsibility is to establish the foundations. That is what the apostolic is, to establish foundations. But the connection of those foundations, you have to decide to assume them. I don't have to impose them on you. Remember that nothing is imposed, nothing. If you assume something by imposition, that will not give the results you want in your life. Write it down. If I assume something by imposition, it will not give me results. That's why with our children, we have to find a way for them to learn before we impose things on them. Because with imposition, we will not achieve anything. Although everything is fine and they will do it, but inside of them, it's like this very famous saying that goes, although I'm on my knees, inside of me, I'm standing. That's how our children do things. And even though you see that they're submissive or in front of people, they get to accept it and be respectful, inside they're saying, whatever. It's the same as how many women are taking care of business for their husbands. They're cooking for them, they're serving. And there are many who are doing this because the pastor says so. And they're like, well, I'm going to do it like the pastor said. Fine, no problem. No problem. I'm going to do it just like the pastor said. But then suddenly they say, wait a minute. I've done everything and I haven't achieved anything. You know why? Because you're not assuming it. You feel like you're being imposed something in yourself, and you're doing that you're being told, and you're waiting results from it. Excuse me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see the difference? God doesn't impose. Write it down. God does not impose. That is why God wrote things to you, so that no matter what you see, it's there. In reality, I do not have to say anything. I should just say to you, go and read this book in a year and come back. That is what I should do. Have a year, take this manual, read it, come back, and I will give you a position in the ministry. That is the mechanism of this business. You come in a year, I give you a position and a salary too. But you know what? The love of God for all of us is so tremendous that He comes to give us on a silver platter the knowledge. I minister this with much honor and with much honor. But at the same time, I'm like, God, why didn't anybody give this to me that way? And He's like, hold on. Don't worry about it. You will see the fruit of your labor. One day you will sit down and you're going to hear Pastor Alex at big conferences like that, talking calmly. And there's nothing more honorable than you saying, wow, he was taught by the apostolic. He comes from the apostolic line. You're going to hear Pastor Yanira one day at conferences with women, being that powerhouse, training all those business women, saying that's not how you manage things. And that's going to be honorable. And you will do the same, just like I'm doing with you. You're going to do the same with your children. But you have to teach them so they learn to take responsibility, because if they don't, then they won't have any results. It is important to know from early on that they have to take responsibilities. I'm telling you, in 2 weeks working with the young people, they started taking responsibility. Because if we don't get them to do that, then there's going to be problems. And that same thing happened with me. I'm not here to impose anything on you now. I hope you take responsibility, and you know when you take responsibility because the fruit tells you so. So what happens is that the metamorphosis occurs because when I'm assuming principles, what is in me, it manifests. And that we call confronting, me being confronted, as you say, it wasn't that I was confronting you. Many times what's going on is that what ruled within you is manifesting against you. Write it down. Because sometimes I want to put nice terms to some things and some confrontations, but when you assume principles and when you're connecting to it, it doesn't matter that you're being told it in a nice way or in a harsh way. Order is starting to be placed in your life. The first stage of metamorphosis is confronting the same demons that dominated you. And that's where you are to say, wow, you know what? Pastor, he's right. I am a wretch. I am a wretch. And you know what? It's hard for you to digest that someone will call you a wretch. But do you know why Pastor called you a wretch? Because he cannot put a seal on what is still in you. Because if you put a seal on it, imagine how many people from the moment they arrived in a ministry, they were anointed with oil and they were sent out to all those wretches out there. Yeah. So let me tell you, you're going to face the devil in the metamorphosis. And that devil is that animal that operates in you. Write it down. And it is good for you to know that, to understand the root of things, the root of what has operated in your life. That's why you go through a platform process where you're being taught legal principle, then you're taught the flesh, then you're taught the spirit. So that when you begin to live the experience, you know where each thing is coming from. And you're like, okay, this is spirit and this is flesh. And you're like, why is this flesh? Is this coming so that I can tear my head off and for me to disgrace myself? Maybe that's the spirit? Yes. Because let me tell you, there are people here who are meditating and looking for confirmation from God to see if God speaks to them first before they can determine if something is flesh and spirit. But it's so clear. So the metamorphosis that is being violent in your life, which is provoking manifestations for you to say, you know what? That's it. I can stand this. I can stand this flesh. And listen carefully. Remember that we won't be able to defeat ourselves in ourselves. We cannot overcome ourselves. We have to embrace Jesus Christ because he is the one who overcame the flesh. He overcame sin. And if you go with that mindset and you say, you know what? I won't stand this flesh anymore. I cannot deal with this flesh anymore. You know what? You're not crazy. Who told you that you could have dealt with it in the first place? No. The fact that I cannot deal with it is what brings me to what it means to be afraid. And today I want to talk about it within this topic of metamorphosis. The great manifestation that occurs in that violence called metamorphosis, it's called fear. Write it down. Fear. The fear that is within this study and this explanation is the reflection of the insecurity of what I don't know. It's the reflection of the insecurity of what I don't know. That is fear. When you assume principles, when you want to do things correctly as you know, that is established in the foundation of the life manual, you suddenly say, look, now that I'm doing things well, now that I'm doing everything that the pastor says, yes, because let me tell you, there's a trickery of quoting what the pastor says that is satanic. That is high-level satanism. Because there's a lot of satanism in this church. There's a lot of satanic people in this church. Because they say, oh, I'm doing everything that you're telling me to do. And now that I'm doing everything that the pastor's saying, now look at what's happening to me. I'm worse. No, you're not worse. You're not worse. What is happening is that you're getting to know the wretch that you are, the satanic that has been hidden in you. You are getting to know Laura, the wretch who was hiding. You're getting to know Angela, the disgraceful, the perverse that was hiding in you. When everybody used to say, oh, that's just a little angel, you're like, no, that's a wretch. And you're like, Pastor, but what is happening? Because I'm behaving well. No. What is happening is that you're getting to know the animal that you had hidden inside of you. Because we grew up and we were developed in a hypocritical religious society that is synonymous with religion. Hypocrisy is synonymous with what? Religion. Religion that you by nature learn to live a hypocritical life, where you were living, making poses that sometimes it was seen and it was not seen, but what was inside was not shown, and you didn't want what was inside to show, and you were like, oh no, I have to hide because, I cannot allow for people to see my true colors. But now, when you see that what you hid manifests itself, you say, wow, but this looks worse than before. Yes, because that is the plan. And that was the plan. The plan was for you to know the wretch who operated in you with lies and deceit, because you lived with so many masks that you quickly took them off. And you were like, oh, the mask of hypocrisy. Oh, the mask of joy. And inside, you were melancholic, you were depressed, you were sad. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? So when you assume metamorphosis, fear comes. And you get scared, you get a shock of insecurity, and you're like, but I'm connected, I'm receiving, I'm assuming. And I just feel this big struggle. What are you seeing there? The struggle that you're seeing is the manifestation of what has always governed your life. What happens is that this one that manifests itself, you are denying against. And because you are denying against that, now you are confronting and you become the battlefield. This manifestation itself of you denying yourself is that is how the biggest struggles begin. And the big thing is that now in this manifestation, you're worried because you're like, wow, how do I make sure no one notices what I'm going through? The misfortunes that I have. Yeah, because the greatest fear is, wow, everybody's going to see it. But you know what? That's why holiness is recognition. Holiness is acknowledging. That's why you say, and the majority of those who have come here, they have told me, you know what, Pastor? You say I'm a wretch, but that was nothing. I am one of the worst wretches, one of the worst. And when people start telling me these things about the level of wretchedness they have and what a wretch they are, I'm like, oh gosh, I get scared. And I myself say, Lord, it seems like I'm getting into this very bad situation with very dangerous people. I don't know, but maybe they'll make a mess of me here. Because they've told me, like, Pastor, I'm so wretched. So I don't know. I'm thinking about hiring soldiers and security, one with a rifle and one with this. Because when you accept the truth and what is revealed, you get scared. You get scared because now you see your true colors. How many are understanding me? So what happens? You become afraid. But being afraid isn't bad. No, being afraid is not bad. The best thing that can happen to you is being afraid. Because when a person loses that sense of being afraid, when a person gets neutered, like they cannot feel anything and they fear nothing, it's very dangerous. The only people who are afraid are those who know. Write it down. The only people who are afraid are those who know. My wife says she's not afraid. She's here. She says, I'm not afraid. No. The only people who feel fear are those who know. And I'm going to explain very clearly now what happens with fear and how to work with it. So it is good to be afraid. The bad thing is what I might do under fear if I don't make the right decision. That is the problem. Fear is synonymous with my nature. Write it down. Fear is synonymous with my nature.